Hi, this is Arnav from the TAS marketing team. And if this is your first time watching one of our videos, we help marketers increase their conversion rate by 2 to 3x using conversational landing pages. And in this video series, we actually show you exactly how we make those experiences by recording the entire creation process. In this particular edition, we're going to be taking a look at the real estate marketing space. Over the last week, I've been looking at a bunch of landing pages within the real estate space, and I've noticed a trend in them. Regardless of whether you are a real estate agent, like this landing page over here is, or a real estate developer, this landing page over here is for a real estate developer, you are going to be using a combination of phone, email, and form to capture leads. This is a problem because all of these methods of lead capture are very impersonal and they aren't quick enough for the real estate space. Let me get my face out of the way. Real estate prospects are used to having instant response. Often they are going to several landing pages like this, filling out lead generation forms exactly like this. And the company, the real estate company or the real estate agent that wins out in the end is usually the one who responds first. Now, forms are a terrible way of doing this because forms are basically indications of deferred action. You fill out a form and someone's going to follow up with you at a later date. And if you don't follow up quick enough as a real estate agent or as a real estate developer, you are not going to win that client, and that's going to be a lost lead because someone else responded first. So forms aren't a great way of capturing leads because they don't give you instant response. Email suffers from the same problem. If someone emails you, you converting that lead is wholly contingent on your ability to respond to that email as quickly as possible. And that's not a guarantee every time because you're not working 24/7 and you don't want to be working 24/7. Phone calls solve this problem a little bit because you get onto a phone call with someone immediately and you have that conversation, which is usually deferred through a form, immediately after a prospect lands on your page. But even this is imperfect because you need to hire the staff to man your phone lines 24/7 because people don't often shop for real estate during work hours. They do it outside of work hours or on the weekend when you'd have to hire extra staff to man those phone lines. So what we're going to try to do in this video is create a chatbot that automates the conversational lead generation process. So we're going to give people the perception of instant response through our chatbot while doing it at an affordable price point, which doesn't require hiring teams of people to man your phone lines. In this particular video, what we're going to do is we're going to take this form over here, the schedule a tour form on this landing page for 1010 Wilshire, which is a property in Los Angeles, and we're going to convert it into a chatbot. And with that, we can probably jump into the actual builder and start creating. The first thing that you want to do is you want to introduce yourself to the prospect. So you can say something, you can give your chatbot a personality. That's what I like to do when it's a pure lead generation chatbot that someone's clicking onto. So I'm going to say something like, "Hi, I'm Dars, the 1010 Wilshire virtual concierge. I spell Wilshire over here. I'm unsure. Nope, I spelled Wilshire correct. I don't know why Google is giving it to me as an error. So this is the first thing I like to do, introduce myself. This is a conversation. It's not a form where you can just show them the fields and show them the lead generation process. It's a conversation. You're bound by the rules of human etiquette. And if you were in the chatbot's place, what would be the first thing that you do? In my case, I probably introduce myself, tell them who I am, and ask them who they are because I always like to know who I'm talking to. So the first thing I'm going to ask them actually is their name. I'm going to say, "Hi, I'm Darth, the 1010 Wilshire virtual concierge. What is your name?" And we can put full name verification on over here so that we can get a full name from them, and we can probably say, "What is your full name?" over here. Hit save. And now we've essentially captured the first two pieces of information from this form in the first couple of messages over here. There's a key point to note about this. As I mentioned before, this is not a form. You are bound by the rules of human etiquette, and that's why you have to introduce yourself. But equally, we have effectively captured the first two fields of this form without beginning the lead generation process. Because asking someone's name right at the beginning of a conversation comes across as just being basic human courtesy. And the prospect perceives it that way. So they don't perceive the lead generation process as having begun when you ask for their name over here. Instead, they just think that you're starting out the conversation. So in a sense, we have begun the lead generation process without the prospect even knowing, which is a good thing because prospects often don't like going through lead generation processes. They tend to be mundane. So the shorter you can make the lead generation process, the better it is. So we've essentially reduced the lead generation process by 2 steps by integrating a couple of the pieces of information directly into the basic fundamentals of the conversation. Now we need to move on to the rest of the lead generation flow. In this case, they are asking for phone number and email first. I don't like to go with this approach. We found that in conversational interfaces, especially where a prospect can't see every single field at one go. So for example, if I open up the preview over here, you'll see that each field is asked one at a time. It's first going to ask me for my name, and then it's going to ask me for the next field, unlike a form where I can see all of the fields at once. Because you can't see all of the fields at once, you can't ask for the email or phone number first. Some of our customers have found through A/B testing that when you ask for these contact details right at the beginning, people are less likely to complete the lead generation process because they feel like you're being too salesy. They feel like all you want is their phone number or email so you can start spamming them with robocalls or spamming them with emails. So what you want to do is instead ask for the details that are important to the prospect first. So ask for the details that are important to what the prospect wants out of this interaction. So in this case, they want to schedule a tour. Ask for the details relating to the tour before you ask for the contact details. You can add the contact details right at the end as an incidental detail that you need to complete the process. So instead, what I'm going to do over here is ask them for the details relating to the tour. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we haven't technically started the lead generation process yet. We asked them their full name as a basic courtesy in the conversation. Now we can say, nice to meet you. Again, keeping in line with this idea that we want to make the conversation feel as human as possible. Nice to meet you. And we can pull their name in from wherever they submitted it. Essentially what I'm doing over here is I'm saying nice to meet you, and then I'm pulling their name in from wherever they submitted it in the conversational flow. Now I can prime them for what's to come. We can say, let's get you scheduled. Let's schedule you a tour. Let's schedule you a tour on what date works best for you. What date? We can actually add time as well. What date and time works best for you? Make date and time bold. I always like to make the actual field we're asking for bold, just to emphasize it. For a prospect who's speed reading, we can make this date, time, and we can change the user input to the calendar and time input, which accepts a date and it accepts a time. Hit save. And now we can move on to the next question. A key point to note about conversational lead generation through chat, you have to acknowledge user input. So over here, we just accepted the date and the time. Now we want to ask for the next piece of information. We could just say, is there, got it? Or we could just say, is there anything else we need to know? Got a little ahead of myself over there. Need to know about this before you come in for a tour. But this is a very abrupt transition. They've just given us the date and time they're interested in touring at, and we've immediately asked them the next question. Instead, what we want to do is we want to acknowledge their input. We want to acknowledge the fact that we got it and give them some feedback to indicate that what they did was correct. So over here, they gave us a date and time. We want to tell them that that date and time works and that their desired date and time is all right, and we can go ahead and schedule them in. So before we add the next question, asking them for additional comments, we can say something like, got it, we should be free at that time. And then we can ask them for the additional comments. We can make this an optional input because maybe they don't have any additional comments to add to the flow. Now we can ask them for the lead information. So we've got the name, we've got the desired date, we've got any additional comments. Now we can ask for the actual contact information, which is what's important to you as a real estate agent. So we've essentially got all the information that's important to them first, and now we can just tack this on at the end to make it seem like it's incidental to the whole process. So we can say, great, to confirm your tour, I'll need your contact details. I've noticed in this form over here that they have a preferred contact option over here where you can give phone or email. This is actually going to make it easier for us because in a conversational interface, in a chatbot, you can branch the conversation. So over here, if I turn this into buttons and I add multiple buttons over here and I hit save, you'll notice there are two sockets and we can branch it in different directions. So rather than asking for the phone number and email immediately, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask them which method of contact they prefer, so phone or email, and then based on that ask them the next question. And this is going to reduce the number of fields that they have to respond to and shorten the lead generation process, which is a great way to increase conversion rate. So instead of saying phone number, email, and their preferred contact, all they have to do is tell me their preferred contact, and based on that, I will ask them either phone or email using the branching feature. So over here, we can say, great, to confirm your tour, I'll need your contact details. What is your preferred means? Your preferred means of contact. Phone and email. Or we could put this in simpler English. Preferred means of contact is, it's a little formal. We can say, how would you like us to contact you? Get in touch. Phone and email. I also like to throw in icons whenever I'm using buttons because it adds a small visual cue that is useful for conveying what each button is asking to the prospect that much quicker. Even if it's just a few milliseconds quicker, that is important because prospects have very short attention spans, and you really, really, really want to capture their attention as quickly as possible and shepherd them through the entire lead generation process as quickly as possible before they drop. I'm going to look for an icon relating to phones. We can put the smartphone over there and hit save. Now, if they respond with their phone number, we want to ask them for their phone number. And if they respond with their email, we can ask them for their email. Let's connect these branches together. Call this one phone number, or phone. Noted. What is your phone number? And now we can put phone number verification on to ensure that they're giving us a phone number and make it easier for them. And we can do the exact same thing for email. So we can say, noted. What is your email address? Make email bold. I forgot if I made phone number bold in the previous question. So let's go in. Yep, there we go. Phone number, make it bold, hit save, and now we can close out the conversation. We have all of their information. We can tell them that we've confirmed them for a tour, we've scheduled them in, and we look forward to seeing them. Close out the conversation. I always like to thank people when they give you contact detail. In 2019, the age of robocalls and spam emails, giving contact information is actually a pretty big feat, especially for people who have very short attention spans, which most prospects do. Let's end the conversation. So I always like thanking them when they give me their contact details. Thank you. We have you booked for a tour and look forward to seeing you soon. And look forward to seeing you soon. Have a great day. We have completed our chatbot lead generation process. If I open up the preview again, you'll be able to see that we have a complete lead generation process that captures all of the necessary information relating to the lead. As you can see, I put full name verification on. So if I give it just my first name, it's going to ask me to correct that and give me a full name. It says, nice to meet you. Let's schedule you a tour. I don't like that phrasing over there. This is a key point to note. I always like to do this after I create a conversational experience. I always like to go through the messaging once, go through the lead generation flow once myself to see what it looks like and see if the messaging is all right. In this case, I don't like the way I phrased it up here. I said, let's schedule you a tour, which doesn't seem like correct English to me. Let's go with email and give it my email. See how. There we go. That's the end of the lead generation flow. The only thing I want to change in terms of the actual messaging is the way I phrased this message over here. So that's after name. Let's schedule you in for a tour. Schedule you in for a tour. Hit save. I like the way that sounds better. Reading it out loud. We can hit deploy and that change will be deployed. There is one more thing that I need to do before we can end this video and you guys can start building your own chatbots like this, and that is change the branding of the bot. When someone clicks on this CTA, the way I'm envisioning it is someone clicks on the schedule a tour now CTA and they get dropped into a chatbot instead of this lead generation form. And if they get dropped into this chatbot, it looks really strange because the chatbot looks nothing like the rest of the website. It looks like a messenger and an iMessage interface, and it doesn't really match the branding of the rest of this page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to incorporate some of the brand colors into the actual visual look of the chatbot. The way I like to do that is I like to look at the primary brand colors on the website. In this case, they have red and black. And then I use those colors as the bot and the user message bubble colors. My usual approach to this is I use the primary message bubble, the primary brand color for the bot messages and the secondary brand color for the user messages. And a good way to figure out which these are, if you're having trouble, is I usually like to go with the CTA color. So in this case, it's red for the user message bubbles because in a lot of ways, the user messages are the CTA. If someone types in a message, hits send, so they engage with a CTA and their message bubble appears on the screen. So I like to make the CTA color the user message bubble color. I'm going to go ahead into the design section. I used my handy color picker tool over here to figure out what the hexadecimal code for this red was. You can find this color picker tool on the Chrome Web Store. Jump to user message bubble color, change it to red. Similarly, I like the black color over here. It's a simple black. Black's one of my favorite colors, so we can make the bot message bubble colors black. In case the bot is shown exactly like it is over here, where the background is gray, I'm going to also go ahead and change the background color to a solid white. So it makes it seem like the rest of the area is, or sorry, the chat area is just an extension of the rest of the page. So over here, the chat area is white, the background is gray. There's a very clear distinction between them. I have made it white and white so that it just feels like they're an extension of each other. We can hit save. I also like to go in and change the URL. So if you look at the URL over here, it says chatbot.hellotars.com. Usually, if we're embedding a chatbot into a web page like this, where someone clicks on a CTA and it opens up the chatbot, we wouldn't open it up in a different URL. We just open it up on site through an iframe. But in case you do want to open up a completely new web page where it's a chatbot standalone like this one, you can go ahead and change the URL over here to match your company. So over here, we can say 1010 Wilshire because that is the property in question. Hit save, deploy, and now we have a completely new chatbot for lead generation in real estate. It captures lead information. start typing in the URL bar. It captures lead information, it qualifies people, and it schedules tours. Similarly, if you have a similar lead generation page to 1010 Wilshire over here, you could create another chatbot easily for the availability section. If you were a real estate agent as well, you could create a similar chatbot for your contact form. It serves as essentially, as I mentioned in the actual flow, it serves as a virtual concierge for your company, whether you're an agency or whether you are a developer yourself. And that offers a more personalized experience than a lead capture form or email. And it offers the same conversational experience that you can give over phone call, but you don't need to hire people to man it. And it runs 24/7 because it's completely automated. Again, if you missed the beginning of this video, key in the real estate lead generation space, I'm sure you'll know this if you're watching this and you work in real estate, is instant response. And that's exactly what this lead generation flow gives you. The prospect doesn't need to fill out a form. They don't need to send out an email. They don't need to dial a phone number. They're dropped immediately into a conversation where they can engage in a lead generation process that feels engaging, feels human, and feels instant. That's it for today. You guys are free to copy any of the best practices I mentioned in this video. In fact, I encourage you to do so. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. We have an intercom widget in our builder, so feel free to reach out to us, ask us any questions. In fact, we'd also be willing to create a conversational landing page just for you, and even a video just like this one showing you exactly how we built your conversational landing page. So feel free to drop us a link to your landing page through this intercom widget in the builder, and we will have that for you within probably a week after you send it. Anyways, that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Give us feedback on this, again, through intercom. We love hearing it. Have a great day.